Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're going to draw Spider-Punk from pencils to inks to colors. So if you want to spend 28 minutes with me and talk about Spider-Punk and draw Spider-Punk, let's draw. Spider-Punk's first appearance was in The Amazing Spider-Man number 10, the 2015 version, not the 1963 version, by Dan Slott, and the artist was Oliver Koppel. And he is not a Peter Parker variant. He is a variant of the Prowler, Hobart Brown. So Hobie Brown, Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk, he's from Earth 138. And 138 is a fascist world, and it's run by Norman Oswald. He took over, and his troops, they wear a synthetic venom armor. And, it's a crappy world. They dump toxic waste everywhere. It's falling apart. But, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And that's pretty much how it goes. And Hobie Brown's bitten by a radioactive spider that came from a radioactive waste dump that was run by Norman Oswald. And so he uses spider powers to become Spider-Punk, to fight the fascist regime and save his world and, bring peace and harmony and all that stuff. And to do that, he gets together his own little group of Avengers. There's a Hulk, there's a Captain Anarchy, I think there's an Ironheart, I forgot her actual name, and another one who I totally forgot. Sorry about that. I've been sick again all week, as you can tell by the sound of my voice. So I apologize for that also. But anyway, back to Spider-Punk. So he gets the gang together in the final confrontation with Harry Osborn. He sets up a big old wall of frickin' speakers, lets out a hellacious chord, and the one thing about Venoms is their weakness is sound. So the loud sound disrupts all the Venom suits, which allows Hobie's army to fight back the fascists, and Hobie himself apparently does not have a no-kill rule, because he pretty much decapitates Harry Osborn with a chop from his guitar. And then he saves his world from the fascist regime. And then there's another story that talks about what happens afterwards that I didn't get a chance to read. So we can't really talk much about that one. The pencils here, I pretty much went fairly quick. And drawing a guitar is a pain in the butt, by the way. Especially since I'm a Telecaster guy and I wanted it to look like a Telecaster. The only part of him I redrew a few times was his head. Other than that, I pretty much trusted in where I went and when, because Spider-Punk is more of a, you got to get the feeling down more than the little intricate parts of the drawing. So it was just fun to let loose and rip into it and just go with the mess. In fact, you can see I mostly have really messy pencils to begin with, except for last week's Wolverine. But on this one, they're really loose because I just wanted to go in with the inks and bang them out. And the coloring was really fun on him, too, because I got to really lean into the Ben-Day dots and the sloppiness of the style that they use in the Spider-Verse, even though I went a little more colorful on Spider-Punk than they did. In the comics, Spider-Punk's an American, and, the whole fascist thing takes place in America. In the Spider-Verse movie, where most of us know him from, where I mostly know him from. I knew he existed before the movie, but I never read any of his books, which is surprising because I kind of dig punk a bit, and I play guitar badly, and I have a 8-track cassette recorder that I have decided one day I will record a punk album on, even though I'm very not punk because my main instrument is piano. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll be hawking that at you guys and have given you an iTunes address to listen to it on, but. In the cartoon, Across the Spider-Verse, sorry, which those two are probably my two favorite Spider-Man movies of all time. I think they beat any of the Tobey Maguire, the Tom Holland, and my favorite Spider-Man, I can't remember his name. But, I think that of all those, even though it's animated, I think it's the best done Spider-Man that they had. The Peter Parker of that universe, he's broken down, but he's still Peter Parker. And then you got Miles, of course, who we introduced in that one, and Spider-Gwen, they do a great job with her, and Haley Stanfield does a great job of voicing her. But in the second movie, Across the Spider-Verse, we meet some new Spider people. And one of them, they talk a lot about him in the movie. You know, like Gwen's always talking about him, and then the Spider-Man from India is talking about him, how he's the greatest guy ever. And then they start mentioning how and then they're in a situation where it kind of looks hopeless. The Spot's going to commit his goal, and Miles is trying to break through the barrier, and out of nowhere, loud guitar, and bam, Spider-Punk crashes in with that really unique animation style where his frame rates are off on different parts of his body, and they got him looking like a paper cutout, and they definitely run a risographed filter over him to make him look like old photocopies and stuff, and he goes from black and white to a subtle color to a bright color, and it's really great animation. It's kind of hard to believe that the team that did Across the Spider-Verse, that animated it, before they did Edge of Spider-Verse and Across Spider-Verse, the movie they did before that was the Emoji Movie. So they were animating poop emojis and smiley faces. And they went right from that into doing something as groundbreaking as Edge of Spider-Verse. It's pretty crazy. And I rewatched Across Spider-Verse for this video. And I watched it on my iPad, and it has the OLED screen and all that stuff. Because I was sick and I didn't want to get out of bed and watch it on TV. So, and I noticed that, you know, the character textures, everything, they're fairly simple and straightforward. They're nothing groundbreaking or anything Pixar level quality, but the way they animate it and the textures they throw over it and the style that they use to bring everything to life, it just makes their more simple flesh tones and their more simple character animations just pop and look better than pretty much anything you'll see out there. It's a really great technique, and I can't wait for the next one, which was supposed to be out last year, but it got pushed a lot because I remember me and my friend went to go see it, and it said Spider-Verse will return in, I think, March 2024. Yeah, I think 2024 it said. And I'm like, there's no way this is coming out in 6 months or a year. And we were right, but it will be out soon. They are working on it, so Spider-Punk will be a big part of that. And in that movie, he just seems like an irrelevant punk, you know, smash the system, whatever. Just being edgy to be edgy. But if you listen to what he says, everything he says is extremely important to what Miles needs to do to solve his problems. You know, he's like stealing things from little computers and whatnot and chips while he's walking around, and Miles is telling him not to steal stuff, but it turns out what he was taking, he was using to make a new bracelet to slip through time, so he could give it to Gwen, so that Gwen could help Miles, because he knew that this wasn't going to end well. And, you know, when Miles gets trapped, he tells him, he's like, no, not the fingertips, use the palms, and he brings that back when, you know, Miguel catches Spider-Punk catches Miles to help Miles escape, so he's a small part of Across the Spider-Verse, but he's also a really big part because he's kind of like a mini subliminal mentor to Miles in the movie. He doesn't come out and show him and flashing, hey kid, do this, that, and the other thing. He subtly hints at things and says things under his breath that, you know, you just kind of pick up on. And they're very useful in the future. So yeah. Plus, you know, he's also British in the movie, which I think I said already, not American. Oh, hold on. Pencils are done. Time to move on to the inks. The inks actually took a while, even though they're pretty simple. But this is actually a shorter video. They usually run about 30 minutes, 38 minutes, 35 minutes. This one only clocked in at 28. And I actually thought about speeding up this video if it was 38 minutes so that I could voice over it quicker, because the way my throat's giving out here and not sounding too great, and I knew it wasn't going to be a fun thing to record the voiceover for poor Spider-Punk, which I feel bad because I love this drawing. I can't wait to make a print of it. But I didn't have to because it was pretty short to begin with. Because even though it looks like there's a lot going on, it was fairly simple, because when I basically put in this flat colors. I should be talking about this during the colors section, but whatever. But when you put in the flat colors, then I want to do the shading. I want to use the Ben-Day dots and everything, which, you know, I love those if you watch any of my other videos. But you don't have to be neat with them. You could go outside the lines and you could get messy and you could just slash them in certain places as more of a accent and a real feature. So coloring him was fun and simple. And the background, as much as I hate to admit it, I was drawing this while I was sick, so I kind of just found some stuff off the internet and put it together and readjusted the colors, and yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, he was fun, and he came together really quick because he was fun, even though this is technically the second drawing I did of Spider-Punk, because the first one he was just kind of standing there, no guitar and whatever. I'm like, just because I'm sick doesn't mean I gotta phone it in. So I decided to redo it. I got him finished in like a night. He went really quick. Because usually I'll do like the pencils, and I'll come back, I'll do the inks another day, and then I'll do the colors. With him, I just said, screw it. Let's get to it and bang him out. Because I was just having a lot of fun while drawing him. Same thing with next week's video, Momo. She I drew in sections because I had things to do, and I was even sicker because that's when the sick really hit me. But she was a lot of fun, and I actually followed through on the whole poster design thing. I put text on it, and I actually had to draw the text for her name and stuff. So that was a fun one, and I actually included Turbo Granny, so she'll be a fun one. So all you Dan to Dan fans out there, you get a video next week. So back to Spider-Punk. Then at the end of the movie, Gwen puts her team together to help Miles because he ends up on the wrong Earth, because the spider that bit him wasn't from his Earth, was from another Earth, and he's an anomaly. And I don't want to rehash the whole Spider-Verse movie for you because I hope you saw it already. And so the next movie, she's got her team ready to go help Miles fight off Miguel, Spider-Man 2099, and hopefully figure out a safe way to stop the whole canon event thing and not let people die just for the sake of Spider-Man being Spider-Man. So, good on her. In fact, this movie is probably more about Gwen than it was about Miles. Well, it was actually probably fairly split even between both. But it starts out with Gwen talking about how she misses him and what went on and her world, and how everything catches up to her for being Spider-Woman and everything. And her father find out who she is and try to arrest her for the death of the Peter Parker, her universe, who became the Lizard. It's Spider-Verse is a mess. The original Spider-Verse was an encouraging thing by a bunch of vampires who basically eat the essence of spider people. And Peter Parker of Earth 616, the original Spider-Man, he somehow puts a team together of all the Spider-Men from all the Spider-Verses to save them all so they all don't get eaten by vampires. And that's where Spider-Punk came in. And, there's one part of that I remember I read sections of it, not the whole thing. And there's a couple Spider-Men sitting down eating, and Sam was like, yeah, I could have sworn I saw Tobey Maguire over there in a spider suit. The other one's like, yeah, I thought I saw, why can't I remember his name? The guy from the Facebook movie. I love the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I mean, I know the villains were terrible, and they weren't greatest movies overall, but I thought he was the best overall Spider-Man. Oh, I'm going to look it up, pause. As soon as I said pause, his name popped into my head, Andrew Garfield. But then the funny thing is, I hit record again, and I forgot his name again. I started thinking Eric something, and then I started laughing hysterically, and said I can't leave that in the video. Although I'm putting this in the video, so what the hell the difference would have been. But yes, Andrew Garfield, he was my favorite live-action Spider-Man, even though he was a little old to be playing teenage Peter Parker, but that's Hollywood for you. But he had the quipping thing down great. The movements that they gave Spider-Man in that movie were perfect. He just got saddled with so-so scripts and crappy villains, because the Goblin, the Harry Oswald Goblin in that movie was terrible. And Electro was cool, but he wasn't great. So for Spider-Punk's guitar, I play guitar badly, and I like Telecasters. So instead of making up a guitar shape or using the one from the movie, I decided that Hobie was going to play a Telecaster. And my original idea, which would have been a lot quicker, save me a lot of time, was I was going to take a picture of the Joe Strummer's Telecaster from The Clash, because it's really cool and punk rock looking. Actually, I was going to use his Esquire because it's white and less common. And I was going to do the paper cutout thing, and I was going to have Spider-Punk playing that. And I was going to run a risograph filter over Spider-Punk and make him look like he's ripped out of paper too. And all that, believe it or not, would have saved me a lot of time drawing because I would have had to do a lot less work. But I didn't want to cheat out on this, and I wanted it to be really colorful, and I didn't want it to have that faded flyer look, even though it probably would have been more appropriate. But I just had bright colors and obnoxious colors in my mind, and I just went with it, and I hope you guys think I made the right choice, because I think I did. I think a grayed out, bland Spider-Punk would have been less fun, and I wanted fun, and hopefully we pulled off fun here. But yeah, everything. In fact, in the background right now, this is the closest thing to Punk I ever written. That's all. So just was silent for a minute so you can hear part of it. And one day I will revisit the idea of that. I will think of a drawing that'll be appropriate, and I will do the whole paper cutout thing and stuff. Because a long, long time ago, I recorded a couple songs really badly. And I made a little CD that I gave to a few people. And the cover I made for it, I literally printed out photocopies, and then I cut them out and wrinkled them up and tore the edges. And then I pasted them down and recopied them and did it like an old school flyer just because I wanted that look. And I didn't do it in the... Well, I put the original things together in the computer, and then I took the parts and I ripped them up and I made a collage kind of and put it back in the computer and did a text overlay and all that stuff. And I have no idea where that file is, so I can't show it to you. Because it was like 20 years ago, maybe? 15 years ago? A long amount of years ago. But I do love that look, and I used to do things like that all the time. A friend of mine started a rap band, and when it came, he asked me to make them a logo of the letters. And when I did that, instead of going in and finding the font and doing the distressing thing, what I did was I went through piles of magazines I had a ton of them, and I kind of did it ransom note style, and I ripped out, the 3 different letters, and I crumpled them all up, and I scanned them all, and I put them together, and I made them black and white so they were really stark, and that's how I did the logo. And I put a few things behind it and hidden textures and stuff, but just to give it a cool vibe and a good look. And yeah, I made t-shirts from that and album covers for them, and it was super cool. I used to be a pretty good designer, and then I got laid off, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to concentrate on drawing things and doing other things and making money because I got to live, and trying to do it without getting back behind a desk. And I've been various levels of success for the past 6 or 7 years, but I'm still here. Now we started this YouTube channel so that I could really get back into drawing and hopefully help other people get back into drawing too. So sorry for the little little tangent on my previous life escapades. So now we will get back to Spider-Punk. And perfect timing, because the inks are done, and now we're going to move on to the colors. And the colors of Spider-Punk were super fun, because it was pretty much just laying in the base colors, then some darkers and some lights with the Ben-Day dots, but you didn't really have to spend time making sure everything was perfect. You could overlay things, they could cross each other, they could mix each other up, and it all looked cool, because that's the style we were going for. We were going for a messy, ridiculously colorful punk rock aesthetic, which I guess isn't super punk rock. Well, maybe modern. I don't know, but it's where I wanted to go, and I went with it, and I'm happy I did. And then the background, that was pretty quick, because like I said, I just found the patterns on the internet and put them together off screen, and then added the colors and the Ben-Day dots and the overlays of the same thing, and it was a good time. I'm talking really fast, knowing that it was a good time. I was actually really worried about doing this voiceover, because I've been really sick the past few days. I mentioned this before, and I'm sorry that I keep bringing it up. And I was like, I am never going to get through this, because one, I don't know a lot about Spider-Punk, and there isn't a lot to know about Spider-Punk, which is kind of another problem. He only has 2 series, and everything that he did in Spider-Verse, which is 3 or 4 minutes. And then, his part in the original Edge of Spider-Verse story, but I didn't read the whole thing, so I don't know what he did in there. But yeah, this is going quite smoothly, and I thought I was going to have to stop every 3 minutes to cough and start over again, but other than sounding like I got a big old stuffy nose, the cough seems to be pretty much gone, so getting through all this is going good. I also wanted to give Hobie his plaid pants, so we went with that, purple and plaid, because why the hell not? I'd been to CBGB's. It's the famous punk club down in New York that basically started the whole thing in the 70s. The Ramones, Blondie, Iggy and the Stooges played there. I think the Police played their first show in America there. Place was pretty awesome. It was disgusting. The bathroom, I couldn't use the bathroom. It was so gross. But man, the history there. I guess the store now, not the store, the bar now, sadly, CBGB's, is a clothing store. But I guess the clothing store preserved the walls? So if you go in there, you can still see all the stickers and the grime and all the stuff on the walls. But it's in a fancy high-end clothing store that I probably can't afford to buy a t-shirt out of. But if I'm ever in that part of New York again, I might go in. I think there might be a couple CBGB restaurants. Somebody licensed the name or whatever from the family of Hilly, who used to own it. I forgot his whole name, Hilly something. And but I don't think there's an actual CBGB's bar that does shows and anything like that anymore, which is kind of sad. I almost actually got to play there with a band that I was in the early 90s, but I ended up quitting the band before it worked out because I was going to have a baby and stuff, so I couldn't be in a rock band anymore, unfortunately. But they did play there, so good on you, Jupiter Suction. And Joe, my friend Joe, who I was in the band with, I was in another band with him up until 2012, called the Space Orphans. I think we got an album on iTunes if you want us to do it. Might not be there. Might be one song. I don't know. But that was fun. And it's a little weird, though. Joe writes some cool-ass stuff, but it's not for everybody. And Joe, you are awesome. And he's in another band called Kimono Dragon. I'm not sure you got to spell it right. But they got a few albums up on there, too. So if you like shoegaze and weird math rock and Frank Zappa and stuff, go listen to Kimono Dragon. They got a new album coming out. I just signed up for their Kickstarter, so I should be getting a copy of that eventually, because I guess it was funded. So, and next time they play somewhere, a bunch of my friends and I are going to go, because they said they want to, and I haven't seen Joe play in a while. And also, Joe, I'm going to need some guitar solos soon. He played all the guitar solos and stuff on the music you hear in the background. I'm going to need some solos soon, so I'll be hitting you up if you're watching this video. So thanks in advance, Joe. Enough about Joe. Let's get back to the good old Spider-Punk. Here we are. I'm getting into the Ben-Day dots. The most fun part about this thing, as you can see, I didn't even bother to try to stay inside the lines. Just throwing them where I think they need to go, finding the direction of the light, and throwing it in there. And we do the same thing with the highlights and all the other colors. And it starts to actually get the energy, because if you look at it now, it's just like, he's standing there playing guitar, but if you look at the finished one, it looks like it's moving. And another part of that is I used the chromatic aberration filter at the end, and I cranked it and I let it hit hard. And because what that does is it kind of breaks down the CM, the YK, and it offsets them and everything, so they kind of bleed into each other and off of each other. And it gives it kind of like a little bit of a blur and a bit of a motion. And that was perfect for the Spider-Punk drawing. I mean, I've used it on other ones subtly, some not so subtly, but Spider-Punk, it was made for it. I didn't use did I use the hard light? I don't know if I used the vintage camera one or not. I don't remember. I didn't use the blur, the Gaussian blur, but I did use the chromatic aberration. I cranked it, and it looks great. It was like it was made for this drawing. Here we go. Getting back to the background now, because we already did all the shading. Now we throw the highlights on, because I wanted to see what it would look like over the yellow instead of over white, because then you wouldn't really see what's going on. I'm hoping Hobie Spider-Punk has a bigger part in the next Across the Spider-Verse movie. I think it's Enter the Spider-Verse, because his small role in the other one was pretty much the most important part in the movie to actually make it happen. Because without him, Miles wouldn't have got away, and Gwen wouldn't have been able to get back to Miles to help him and put her team together. And Hobie's definitely part of the team. So it's going to be really cool to see him actually in action. Here's the background texture I pulled together off camera. And here's how we made it look how it is now. Yes, now we're just picking colors. And I decided after I found the colors that we needed to, you know, throw some Ben-Day layers on it and some dots and all that other fun stuff. So that's pretty much what we're banging out right here. It actually goes fairly quickly. And I figured out how to get myself a new iPad for Christmas because the old one has just been driving me absolutely crazy. It's been fighting me on things. It's been telling me no when I try to do things. I've been hitting my RAM limit. So the next drawing I do, which I haven't even started yet due to the whole illness thing, will be on that iPad. So hopefully it will solve my problems. I did play with it a little. I had to shut off all the fancy new brush settings, like you could squeeze it and menus pop up. That was driving me crazy because I have a heavy hand. So that stuff's all gone, so I'll be using it like the Neanderthal that I am. Yeah, never use those new modern features. Just treat everything like it's a piece of early 2000s tech. But it seems to get me through everything, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I tell people, hey, if everything's working, don't update it. Don't change anything. Just use it the way it is. Don't break it if it ain't broke. Just use it and do your thing. Like my computer, I haven't updated it since I got it because, you know, I don't want to screw it up with all these new features that I don't need and have things that work fine not work anymore. So that's just the way I do things. It's a little old-fashioned, but it works for me. I think the next drawing, since I'm having trouble thinking of something new, is I'm going to figure out how to expand on the turtles and do Leonardo or one of the other ones next. Thing is, I got to take the 9x12 that I drew the original in, make it an 18x24, and then I got to expand the grids that I used for the perspective to follow that whole piece. And I don't know, I guess we're going to find out how big of a canvas the new iPad can handle and go from there. And here we're putting the graffiti on the guitar, which I didn't go crazy and put a lot of stickers on it or anything. I just wrote a few things that I thought were appropriate to this character, like resist, because he saved his world from fascism, and vote. That's how we save our world from fascism. And a question mark, you know, question everything. Not everything is what it seems to be on the surface, my friends. So don't take everything at face value. And here I am throwing in that chromatic aberration filter and juicing it up. I guess I did use the vintage film one, but here we are. Spider-Punk's done. I got through it, thankfully. I thank you all for joining me. Like, follow, and subscribe. And go out and draw something. I'll see you next week.